Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Pulse Pods. Are you trying to find true meaning to life and living? Then you are at the right place. I am DJ El Pablo, your host for Pulse Pods. Hello everybody, and welcome to Pulse Pods. My name is DJ El Pablo, and you're listening to the Live, Love, Learn series of Pulse Pods. Just want to thank you for listening or taking our time to listen to what we have to put out. It's not been an easy ride, considering the fact that we've been in pandemic times, and I just want to also say Happy New Year to you, to all of you that have been listening and following through, and for all of you that have been asking questions about like when the next episode will come out. I've been trying to work on some logistics and some new things. There's something I would announce at the end of the episode today, to really like explain to you the plans of what we have coming up. So today, in the Live, Love, Learn series, we're going to focus on the second version of what we released last year, the last episode we released last year. This is episode 15. And it says taking responsibility for your action, version 2.0. First, we're going to say this, like, life can be a bit stressful and overwhelming and sometimes just taking you unawares. But one thing I can assure you is that you could get into a point where you feel like you've lost control of things, and it is also easy to blame people for some things or some circumstances around your life. But one of the most important things you can actually do for yourself is to actually stand up and take responsibility for your actions. If you don't stand up for something, you stand for nothing. When you own what is happening in your life, you can actually really start to build on something or take strides towards achieving something in the future. One question I would always like to ask people, or what people would always like to ask, is this: what does it mean to take responsibility for your action? What does it mean to take responsibility for your action? My definition of responsibility is broken down into 3 words: response to ability. Response to ability. So the simple term or simple definition I would like to give in layman's term is to actually acknowledge your role in your life and in the situations and circumstances around it. Not to forget the fact that there are other factors that you can't control. Some of the factors are around people and their influence on some of the situations or circumstances in your life. But also, you're responsible for your own actions and anything that happens within the boundaries of your control. You are responsible for your response to situations, circumstances, and anything around you or in your life, or even decisions and choices. You are also, for the most part, responsible for the outcomes of the choices you make in life and with the people around you. I mean, I told myself too, I am responsible for my actions and for the outcomes of whatever decisions or choices I've made. At some point in life, some years ago, I was depressed, and depression is not something like I would advise I would wish for anybody to go through. But I went through it. It was a tough time. Tough point in my life, but at the end of the day, we came out of it. It was not easy, but it was worth it going through it, because I can garner some experience from that point in my life, that low point in my life, and use the same experience to encourage myself when it gets to the point in life where I feel like I'm about to sink. Basically, I was depressed some years ago because of relational failures, culture shock from like moving to another country, and to some very extent, loneliness. That's why I always take encouragement from one of the gospel artists I listen to, Mali Music. In one of his songs, he said, "It gets lonely at the top, so make sure somebody loves you." You get to a point in your life when it feels like everything is all lonely, but make sure you've got your spine and your support system working for you. Now, when I was depressed, questions you ask: how do you heal from that, or how do you get out of it? But I'll tell you later on, though. But the crux of the whole matter in this is that I had to own my life, or own my own, and make conscious efforts, conscious strides to actually get out of it, and to actually make decisions to completely, change my outlook on life. And that's what happened. My outlook on life changed. There are four things you can actually do to take responsibility for your actions. Four things you can actually do to take responsibility for, whatever decisions or circumstances around your life. One of them is to stop blaming others for the situations in your life. Stop blaming others. One thing I've actually learned over the past couple of years is the fact that when you are too busy trying to point fingers at others, you tend to be blind towards your own faults and flaws. Even in situations or circumstances where you are the victim, trust me, blaming others won't help the situation. So let me tell you something. You relinquish your control of a particular situation when you blame others. You relinquish your control of a particular situation when you blame other people. Remember, response to ability. You have the ability to take control of situations of your life, no matter who the victim is. So long as it has to do with your life, you have the power. So long as it is related to your choices, you have the power. So long as it is related to your decisions, you have the power. So take it and take responsibility. Don't blame others. Take responsibility. You will eventually have the power to change the situation to your liking. Second point I would like to make is stop complaining. There are levels to this. Like, there's a way you take a situation to heart, or talk about a situation, and it would sound like you're complaining or moaning about it. It won't get you anywhere, trust me, if you complain about a situation. You will just be stuck at one point of reasoning without even making headway or making conscious strides. Also, there is a way you talk about something and you'd have conversations that would lead to situations where solutions can be preferred. Therefore, complaining about something stifles your thoughts and fills your mind with negativity, and in turn fills you with negative energy, and in other words, fills you with negative vibes. Now, the moment you stop complaining and start, thinking of solutions, you would actually make conscious strides in life. I used to think or ask myself questions in specific situations, because while I was younger, I wanted to make snap decisions, like decisions on the spot. I would call my mom at some point, and then at one point she had to call me, and she was like, you need to learn to make decisions on the spot, because you get to a point where you would not need to call me, you would need to just make the decisions on the spot. And I had to start learning to make conscious decisions. And the truth is, even if you make decisions on the spot, no matter what happens, if you're willing to take responsibility, it's all you at the end, because it's your life. I used to, ask myself questions when I find myself in situations, and I would ask questions like, now that I am here, what next? Or where do we go from here? Or how do we resolve this? Or how do we move forward? That's you trying to own the situation and trying to own the circumstance you find yourself. This kind of thought or mindset kind of re-engineers and reconfigures your mind towards a forward-thinking mentality. That's why the past is behind and the future is ahead. You know, I sometimes describe past and future with the rear view mirror of a car. Looking at the rear view from a very small object. But have you ever noticed that if you're looking ahead, it's a very big view from the windscreen and stuff? So the past, in other words, I'm trying to say the past is gone. It's yesterday. You can actually refer to it or look at it as a reference. But the future has potential. So like I said, look at the rear view for reference and the big picture ahead for success. Think about it. Make things right by not dwelling on what is wrong or what went wrong, because if you keep dwelling on what went wrong, you would always continue to dwell on what went wrong. Third point I'd like to make is to change your perspective. Remember, you have the ability to respond to a situation however you want. But here, change your emotional response and connection to that situation. When I said I was depressed so many years ago, it took a couple of months for me to actually come out of it, coupled with the fact that there was culture shock, like I said, moving to another country, and the loneliness of being in a strange land for the first time. But I made conscious efforts not to wallow. Wallowing is one of the things that makes people go to the deeper, darker side. I made conscious efforts not to wallow. I went out more. I took part in events, sightseeing, meeting new people, and all of that. Like whenever I feel like things are overwhelming, or whenever it feels like I'm getting low or I'm feeling kind of lonely, I go to parks. I get immersed in nature, watch people do things, watch games, watch sports, get active, meet people, play football, play soccer, play tennis, anything, just meet people, talk to people. And then when it feels like, all of these things, especially with this pandemic and all of that, all of these things are unavailable, I talk to family, I talk to loved ones, I talk to friends, best friends, close pals and stuff. I get positive energy from doing that. I could even talk to my sister or my nephew or my brother-in-law or my younger brother or my mom, just to get like positive energy. And these are things that actually keep me going. My loved ones, my friends, people around me. I even encourage others, and I also get some energy from doing that. I even sometimes I would do a kind gesture and still get the positive energy from kind gestures and all of that. During that time when I was actually depressed, I met someone from Zambia. I always talk about my Zambian friend. To anybody who knows me closely, know that I talk about a Zambian friend of mine who has been instrumental in helping me at that point in my life. At that time, I didn't know, but meeting her was just gave me a new dimension to friendship and all of that. We went on a road trip with school then, and everything changed within a month, because I could talk to her about like my struggles, and we would work through it together and all of that. And to this day, we are still best of friends, even though she's married with a child and stuff. We're still best of friends. We have helped each other grow, and we have celebrated our victories too. I know you're listening where you are, my Zambian friend, and I really appreciate you for your help. So change your outlook and perspective and take charge of decisions in your life, and trust me, the outcomes will actually change. Next point I would like to make, which is the last point: own your mistakes. Acknowledge the fact that you are flawed and own your mistakes. Our old folks will say that a man wearing a white outfit, feeling like he knows it all, when he makes an attempt to walk through the market, even if he has a stain behind, people would not want to tell him because he thinks he knows it all. Even the Bible itself says that let he who thinks he stands take heed lest he falls. So acknowledge the fact that you are flawed and you have made a mistake, and then look to the future to correct it. If you've offended someone, apologize. If they've offended you, tell them and apologize. Make it a norm. I would say normalize apologizing to people for, offending them or anything. I find it weird where somebody would offend you and they wouldn't want to apologize, and they would feel like you must give them beyond reasonable doubt that, they have offended you. And even when you've given them beyond reasonable doubt, they would still want to prove a point. But that does not take you anywhere, does it? It keeps you stuck on one point, right? So, yeah, like I said, if you've offended someone, apologize. If someone has offended you, tell them and apologize. Mistakes are normal, but response is key. 3 of the strongest words you can actually tell someone in this world is sorry, thank you, and please. These are the 3 words. History makers have one thing in common. They are not afraid to admit that they are wrong. You will grow, you will evolve, and you will become better, especially when you apologize for mistakes made, or when you acknowledge your mistakes or acknowledge you're wrong, and become conscious. Because by then, you would eventually know not to make same mistakes. Instead, you would do things differently. You cannot repeatedly do the same thing and expect a different outcome. Learn from your mistakes and make conscious strides to be better. Now, to wrap all of this up, I would say, do you have the desire to take responsibility for your actions, decisions, or choices? Are you ready to see things differently? Your response is key to maximizing your ability to make conscious strides in making life's outcomes better. Seize the opportunity, seize the moment. You are your only limitation. Before I leave you, I would like to say this. You have the power to sow a seed of right or wrong in the lives of people around you. But I bid you this day to sow a seed of right. However it is with the people around you, make an impact by sowing the right seed. And trust me, you will find fulfillment in doing that. And now to the big news. We're going to be releasing a mini series in the Live, Love, Learn series, and that series is going to be titled Life in Pandemic Times. And I'm going to be featuring some people who are going to be telling their stories, their pandemic stories, and we're going to be breaking it into segments within the mini series to try to capture, experiences and learn from other people and how they've dealt with the pandemic, because things are actually really moving fast in these pandemic times. So yeah, hopefully we're going to consistently release episodes of Life in Pandemic Times. I'm bringing some really, really great personalities to the platform to actually talk about their pandemic stories and how we can gain experience from them. So I look forward to that. So I just want to thank you for listening through to this point. It's been a great pleasure to actually bring you the Live, Love, Learn series since for a long time now. So I'm just going to say thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless your heart.
Thank you so much for listening to Pulse Pods today. I know that you've learned something valuable to help you with your daily living and finding purpose. Pulse Pods is now on social media. You can send your DMs and your messages to @PulsePods on Twitter, PAULZPODZ, @PulsePods on Twitter. And then you can as well reach me directly on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook as well. For Instagram @DJ El Pablo, and then for Twitter @DJ El Pablo _, and then for Facebook is @Mr. El Pablo. You'll surely find me. Send in your messages, your reviews, your comments, and your suggestions. Thank you for listening, and God bless your heart.